When a customer calls your organization to make a payment, on the surface, it looks pretty simple. They call, one of your employees takes that payment information, the payment gets processed, and you're done. But here's what's interesting. If you actually follow the payment from the moment the customer decides to pay all the way through to the completion, there can be a lot more happening behind the scenes. Your employee may need to authenticate the customer. They may need to look up an account, collect the payment information, enter that information into another system, wait for authorization, confirm the payment, update the customer's account, and occasionally deal with an exception when something doesn't go as planned, such as a decline. So individually, none of those steps may seem like a big deal, but now multiply that workflow by hundreds or even thousands of payments every month. And that's when something that looks very simple as a payment transaction can become a much larger operational process. And this is where we think organizations need to look at payments a little bit differently. So at Datatel, we have our payment flow intelligence framework, and it starts with a very simple question. How does money actually move through your organization? Not just, which payment processors you use, or not just, which technology processes that transaction. We are talking about a complete journey required to get that payment from the customer into your organization. So where are your employees involved? Where's the information being entered manually? How many different systems are involved? Where is sensitive payment information being handled? And importantly, where is there unnecessary work or friction? Once you can see that complete flow, you can start asking a much better question. It's what parts of this process actually need a person and what parts don't. For many routine phone payments, for example, customers may be able to use a secure IVR payment process. They call, they get authenticated themselves where required. They enter their own payment information and receive a confirmation without an employee having to manually handle that transaction. That can reduce repetitive work. It can give customers another self-service option that is available 24/7. And it can allow your employees to spend much more time on helping customers with situations where a person actually adds value. There's another important consideration here as well, and that is payment security and PCI scope. If employees don't need to hear, see, or manually enter customer card holder information, you're potentially removing sensitive payment data from parts of your operating environment. So this is really a conversation about simply adding another payment channel. It's about improving the way the payment moves through your organization. And that's why our framework looks at four different stages. First, understand how money actually moves today. Let's prioritize, identifying where the biggest areas of work, risk, and friction exist. Modernize, determine where technology or automation can actually improve the flow. And last, optimize, continue looking at the payment process as a customer behavior and your organization change. So before asking, do we need new payment technology, start with a different question. Do we really understand how money is moving today through our organization? Because once you can see the complete payment flow, the opportunities to reduce unnecessary work, risk, and customer friction become much easier to identify. And that's what I mean by understanding how money moves. Thank you very much for listening. This is Bernard Crespi. Until the next time.